Good afternoon all, welcome back. So we'll start with our next session, and again the opinion and poll is open for this session. You can start submitting your responses. And also one thing, for the panel discussion you have to submit your questions. You can go and put your questions at the Excellent booth. Yeah. So may I now request Ms. Shakina Sheikh over the stage, and I'll do the introduction. Please come over. So Ms. Sakina, she is a technical lead, data engineering group, Digit Incorporation. Her focus area is implementing data engineering tools to build data ops pipeline, designing and developing microservice-based applications. Her topic of presentation is journey of implementing data ops pipeline using Apache, Kafka, Spark and ELK for monitoring. Welcome, Ms. Sakina. Over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody.
Little louder. Yes, yes.
Hope you had a great lunch today. Yes. To keep you awake, I have a very interesting topic, that is a journey towards data ops. Sounds boring, but it is not actually. So let's start. Myself, Sakina Sheikh. I am a data engineer working at Digit. So let's start it. So this is what we are covering today. What was the need of an organization? Then how that need led us towards data ops? Then why we chose Apache and NiFi? And finally how we have implemented the data pipeline. So let's start. So the end objective of our product was, our product name is Rishi, which is AI and ML based. So what it does is, based on the current data, it predicts the performance of the key parameters. If the performance is deviating from it is deviating from the target, then it gives the insight that what has gone wrong in it. Then it recommends the solution. There is one more capability, that is what if, wherein the user can manually adjust or modify some parameters and check the outcome of that particular thing. So this use case seems to be very simple. It is kind of a tip of an iceberg, but there are many components involved beneath it, like for extracting the data and loading it, ETL is required. Then for processing the data and providing it for analyzing, data engineering is required. Then for analyzing the data and providing insights, data science is required. And for providing the data to UI layer, service layer is required. And for managing all these components, DevOps and monitoring is required. So for developing such a simple application data science product, so many components are required. So let's understand the data engineering part. So this is a sample pipeline. This is a subset of our actual data pipeline. So what it does is, it gets the raw data and filters and passes to the aggregation stage where the data is aggregated weekly or monthly likewise. Then the data is imputed, that is, it is transformed in such a way that the model can understand. Then model predicts the data and values are passed to explainable AI package. That is a hybrid of algorithms used which finds the recommendation, and then finally the data is rolled up and notified to the user, and data is finally dumped into the destination data source. So this is a sample data pipeline that was a requirement. So aggregation and imputation is developed in Spark. Why? Because it involves so many complex computation, and those computations are done on a volume of data. So Spark is the best approach to go with, because Spark is lightning fast, and also it distributes the data among the Spark nodes in the cluster. Then we have almost 15 plus models developed in many different languages like R, Java, Python, Scala, etc. And the explainable AI package is a hybrid of algorithm which is written in R and Java. And finally the service is written in Scala and Java. So these are the stages involved in our data pipeline. So these were the services, but how to develop or build these services? So there were two approaches, like monolithic way or microservices way. But in the earlier slide, we saw that the objective is already defined, and all services are developed in different technologies. So microservices was the best approach to go with. So then we dockerized our microservices, and this way it was microservice. But how to invoke these microservices? So there are two approaches. Like either we could have gone with synchronous one or asynchronous one. For synchronous, the next stage has to wait for the previous one to get completed. But in asynchronous, everything runs parallelly. So then we tried to explore the synchronous approach with our data pipeline. So it was like the next stage is waiting for the previous one to get completed. So if any of these services is taking too much time, then it can become bottleneck. So synchronous processing was not a good approach to go with. So then we tried to explore the other option, that was asynchronous one. So how to go with that? So then the dependencies between the services was gone, and each microservice is now listening to its own Kafka queue. We have used queue system here, that is a Kafka queue, and each one is processing its own job now. So this way we have implemented the event-driven one. But in our case, we have used hybrid of one, that is a synchronous plus asynchronous, because some of the stages have to wait for the previous one to get completed. So then there was a performance issue in some of the services. It was becoming bottleneck. So then since we were using Kafka queue, we have easily increased the number of instances to multiple, so that it can process the jobs parallelly. So this way we have addressed the performance issue. Then the question is like, is this a data ops?
Yes.
No, not yet. Let's see the definition. What is data ops? So data ops is like automation, process oriented, quality, agility, monitoring, orchestration. All these components are involved in data ops. So let's understand how data ops is different from DevOps. So since morning we were listening what is data ops, it all revolves DevOps, sorry. Since morning we were listening about DevOps. So everything was revolving around the code and building it. Similarly, data ops is built on the principles of DevOps itself. So in this case, in case of data ops, instead of code, we are developing a data pipeline. So it is like development of data pipeline, orchestration of that particular pipeline, testing it, deploying it, and finally monitoring it. So in DevOps, we use Jenkins for orchestration. Similarly, there is a need for an orchestration tool in data ops also. So then there was, in the previous slides, we saw that there were multiple microservices, each were listening to its own Kafka queue. So this was a virtual data pipeline, that was not an actual data pipeline through which we can get a unified view of all these services. So there was a clear need for an orchestrator in that. So then we try to identify what are the characteristics that should be there in an orchestrator. So those were like, it should be real time, it should be customizable, like I can anytime should be able to customize it and use it according to my need. Then it should be scalable, like it should handle a huge volume of data, because in this case we are talking about big data. Then it should be secure testing pipeline, etc. So these all characteristics should be there in a data pipeline orchestrator. So then there was a question like, either I should build it from scratch or buy it from market or go with the open source option. So among these options, it is a logical one that we should go with open source as it is free. It provides also battle tested solutions, so wherein so many contributors are involved from so many different companies who are all finding and fixing the bugs. So then we decided we should go with open source option. So then we tried to find all the options that are already available, that the options were like Apache NiFi, Apache Airflow. StreamSets is not the open source one, then Oozie. The rest three are open source. So then we tried to compare the already identified characteristics with these options. So Oozie was scalable, configurable, secure, but it was lacking in many of the characteristics that are key to the data pipeline. Then we tried to compare similarly the Apache NiFi. It was scalable, secure, but it was still lacking in some of the characteristics. But to our surprise, NiFi was fulfilling most of the characteristics. So we then decided to go with NiFi. But it was still lacking in one, that was real-time monitoring and reporting. So then we decided to go with Apache NiFi. So Apache NiFi is like a Swiss Army knife. It is kind of a toolbox where many different kinds of tools are present, and we can use those tools according to our need. So it provides a web-based application wherein a user can just drag and drop a particular processor on the canvas and use it and build a data pipeline. So Apache NiFi is more expressive to build a data pipeline rather than writing a code in command line or writing the code in any language. Then we can anytime start or stop or modify any parameters and check it in real time itself that what is going on in that pipeline. Then Apache NiFi supports all type of data like big data, small data or streaming data anytime. Then there are some more interesting features of Apache NiFi. Like in the left hand side you can see this is a sample code written in Scala which consumes the data from the Kafka queue. So instead of writing so many number of lines of code, in Apache NiFi we can just drag and drop a particular processor on a canvas and user can use it and build a pipeline. So even a non-developer can use this particular application to build a data pipeline. It is kind of a black box for him where all the complexities are hidden. Then there are 293 plus processors that are already given in Apache NiFi. So we can just use it. So it is kind of, it is fulfilling most of the requirements that a developer encounters while developing any application. So these are all connectors that are provided in the Apache NiFi which we can use. So if any of these pre-built applications or processors are not fulfilling your requirement, then anytime a user can just write its own custom processor in Java language and use it. So in this room everybody is aware of what is the importance of log file for debugging and tracing it. So in Apache NiFi they have given very interesting feature that is data provenance, where it is capturing and storing each and every event that is happening to the data. So through this feature we can easily trace from where the data was originated, then how it traversed all the paths, how much time it took to reach the destination, etc. So all these events are captured in this way. This is the lineage, the graphical view, and anytime we can rewind it, and for anytime we can rewind and go backward and forward and check and investigate the data. Then there is one more interesting feature, that is observability, wherein the user can at the real time itself check in the queue and see all the number of messages that are present in the real time itself, and even we can check the content of a particular message like this. Then playback, if a user has to debug any particular issue, then he can anytime replay the same exact event again. Then there are some more features like no data loss in the event of failure as it is writing to the disk itself. Then we can, in the processor level or on the entire data pipeline level, we can increase the number of threads. Then we can scale the entire NiFi by adding a number of nodes in the NiFi cluster. Then we can integrate this application with any other application. Then the data pipeline which we are building on the NiFi, we can export the template and use it in any other project, so it is reusable. Then we can integrate this with the Git. So till now we saw all the features of Apache NiFi, but what about the CI/CD, the CI/CD pipeline, the way we use for any other application? Here in this case we are dealing with the data pipeline, that is the workflow. So in every organization we have multiple environments like dev, test, production, and if I want to move or push my changes from one environment to other, so NiFi gives a very good tool with it, that is Apache NiFi registry. It is kind of a repository where it stores all the shared resources, and these version flows we can easily integrate this with Git. This is how it looks. These are the versions that are committed in the workflow. Then how to implement, how we have implemented DataOps. So this was our requirement which we saw in the first slide, aggregation, imputation, these are all services. So this is how we have implemented an Apache NiFi. So all the stages that were aggregation, imputation, these all were encapsulated into a process group, and each process group has its own internal flows. This is a stack that we are using in data pipeline. So we followed some conventions while developing the data flow. So entire data flow was divided into stages, then stages were divided into jobs, and then jobs were further divided into steps. We did this logical grouping so that we can easily monitor it or reuse the actual component in some other place. So now can we call this a data ops? Yes, but again let's revisit the definition of data ops. So one important part is still missing, that is monitoring. So for every application, that is a production ready application, should have monitoring in place. So for checking the health of the system. So we have divided the monitoring into two parts, that is one is application monitoring and other one is system monitoring. So application monitoring is actually monitoring the pipeline which we just now saw. So this is the application monitoring. Actually Apache NiFi comes with pre-built controller services, like they are reporting tasks through which we can send all the metrics or statistics of an data flow to the external system like Grafana or Ambari or any other external system. In our case, we have used site-to-site provenance controller service. So what happens is, like I told you in the previous slide, that we are the NiFi is capturing the each and every events in the provenance. So those events are sent to monitoring pipeline. So we have another pipeline, that is a monitoring pipeline, which captures those provenance events, filter it and massages it, and then it sends those provenance events to Elasticsearch, where we are plotting the Kibana dashboard. So how many of you are aware of ELK stack for monitoring? Okay, so I don't have to explain that. So this is how it works. The core flow sends the events to NiFi monitoring, then monitoring sends those events to Elasticsearch, through which we are plotting the Kibana dashboard. So this is a dashboard where we are plotting the flow level to step level, where we are checking the execution time of how much time each stage or this stage or job took. So this is easy to find the bottleneck of performance bottleneck. This is the aggregated view which we are capturing. Then this is a granular level of information. This is easy to debug. Then the next monitoring comes as system monitoring. So this entire pipeline involves many components that are present in infrastructure like Cassandra, Kafka, Spark, NiFi core itself. So to monitor all these systems, we are using Heartbeat to capture all the metrics in a centralized place, and that Heartbeat is sending all those metrics to Elasticsearch, and we are plotting the dashboard. So now we can call this a data ops. Now data ops is done, but how to deploy this data ops? So for deploying this data ops, we require DevOps itself. So here we are using a hybrid strategy of deployment, that is we are using Azure Kubernetes service plus Azure VM. Why? Because the MLs are not performing that well into containers. So we are using Azure VM also. And we have used Kubernetes for deployment because it is cloud agnostic. Then since we have deployed this entire infrastructure on cloud itself, so we thought it would be a good idea to go with serverless functions because it is cost effective. So we are in a process to move some of our stages, some of our services as serverless functions. And as I mentioned earlier, if any of the pre-existing processors are not satisfying your need, then anytime you can create your own custom processors. So there was no InfiniSpan, we are using InfiniSpan server for caching. So that processor or connector was not present, so we have developed it and open sourced it. And we are in a process of publishing more. So the summary is like, we went for microservices architecture, which was event driven with Kafka. And then there was a need for an orchestrator, so we chose Apache NiFi, and we follow monitoring driven development. And we used ELK for real-time monitoring. That's all for the session. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sakina. So you can actually ask the questions to the audience now. Two questions.
If anybody can tell the definition of data ops, what all components should be there in the data ops?
Provisioning, versioning, monitoring.
Yeah. Some of them are right.
I think you also want to attempt. Is that right?
Yeah.
So it is build, test, deploy and monitor.
Yeah, correct.
That's the correct one. Okay, please. Please come over the stage. One more question.
What all monitoring tools are there in the market? We have used ELK, but apart from ELK, any other options are there?
Grafana is there, Kibana is there. Kibana part of Elastic.
Yeah, everybody.
Grafana, Kibana.
You have to choose.
You. Yeah, tell.
Splunk. People are moving from Splunk to Elasticsearch already.
Nagios is there, then Grafana, Symbotic.
Okay, please come over the stage. Okay, please be here. May I now request Ms. Divya Vaishnavi, Senior Program Manager at Microsoft, to felicitate the speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you.